Sikuigar. This is HK7335, and if you're watching this video, it's because you bought the Technical Specialist A STL file, and to you I say congratulations, and I also say au revoir. I appreciate you. This is it, and I'm going to show you how to put this helmet together. So let's get into it. So here we are in Blender, where I built the helmet, and as you can see, I've got kind of an exploded view going on here. And this is basically how you put together. This helmet is designed to be pretty straightforward in terms of assembly. So most of the pieces are just going to glue on. These are separate. I separated these out because they have all these undercuts in here that I thought might be difficult to 3D print in the standard helmet orientation. So I separated them out so they could be printed differently, and maybe you don't have to do quite so much post-processing on these detail areas here. So they would just glue on. So if you want to just put those in, then you're just gonna put them in and no. Oh, hold on. Let's get my orientation right here. And yeah, it's just gonna set right in here and glue it in, and you're good to go. Do the same thing for the other side. This is going to be true for these guys here as well. These are separate pieces. So you're just going to install them in here. Now, one of the things that's interesting about this helmet, though, that I like to point out is that you could leave some of this detail off and still have a very cool looking helmet. As you can see, we don't have the vents in here. And you could even leave the side fins off if you wanted to, and you'd have a very unique looking helmet. So you can do variations. But basically, if you want to put these plant-ons on, then they're just going to glue on. No screws, no magnets, just glue it in, and you're good to go. So yeah, it just goes right in there. Same thing with these. Now, in my older helmet offerings, I have opened up these rear vent spaces so that you could get air through there or backlight them or something. That's not a feature of this helmet. This helmet, as I mentioned earlier, is a much simpler, more straightforward type of build. But if you did want to open this up, you could cut a hole here just fine. It will be completely covered by this. Let's see. Let's just go ahead and move this back. And yeah, we gotta just bring it out a little bit, but yeah, it just fits right in here, and we'll cover that space. And if you wanted to, you could open this up. However, when you put this on, it's actually on this one already. When you put this on, it's going to cover this area up. So the only place where you actually have potential for airflow would be right in here. So you could drill some small holes, or you could just open this space up and leave this cover over it. So you'd have some visibility through here, but you'd get airflow, and it would cover most of the area. You could also put a little screen, some window screen material or something like that in there to, to block visibility a little bit, but still allow for air to get through. So those just glue on. Then we have the data port here, which is designed to seat into this hole in the back to make sure that it's properly aligned, because it does have a little bit of space around its sides, and so you want it to be centered up so the side gap and top gap and bottom gap are consistent all the way around. And then of course these little dudes they just go right over the top of these little nubs here. Now there are specifically left and right versions of these, because you can see it has this inset here that is designed to fit over this conduit. So and again, this one goes in the middle. This one just drops right in. There's no registration ports. It should fit centered, but these guys just sit over this nub, and they are all placement specific. So this one is definitely for the top, and these are for the left and right, so pay attention to that. And then again, this dude down here, these little lower filter systems, these are very straightforward. You just glue them on. You could hollow these out if you wanted to. If you wanted to put, batteries or circuits or something down in here, you could do that. This is actually Is that in right? I think it is. Oh yeah, that is correct. Okay. So yeah, I mean, it's not a huge space. I also left this open and didn't put anything in it, so there's an opportunity for kit bashing if you want to do your own detail or put some kind of cool little what's it in there that you might have laying around in your kit bashing box if you have one. So yeah, I mean, I detailed as much of it as I thought was necessary, but I definitely wanted to leave some room for personalization and for interpretation. So like most of this is just stuff that glues on. So now let's talk about the ears. The ears are the only place where we kind of depart from that philosophy a little bit. So this part does glue on. This is the ear base. And I always have these separated out because you may want to print them in a different orientation that provides a better overall finish. So post-processing is going to be a lot easier. If you notice in the helmet, though, we have a hole here. We have this small hole, which is designed for a screw. Typically, I go with my standard M3 by 0.5 screw, and you know, that's what I use normally. I believe these are going to probably be between 12 and 16 millimeters to get into the ear cap here. So, because it's designed to you can either screw the ear cap on or you can use a magnet. And this particular seat is designed for a 15 by 3 millimeter neodymium magnet, disc magnet, and likewise here. And we also have a socket for an M3 threaded insert, the typical ones that I normally use. So if you want to know more about those, you can check out my Linktree, and you'll find links to my Amazon store where I have all of this stuff listed out. So if you want to see what it is, you can go check it out there, and you get all the information that you need for the hardware. So this, like I said, this just glues on. It's just going to go right here. And this, as you can see, it has these little registration nubs on it. So it's designed to just slot in here, and it's not going to move. That's why magnets may be a great solution. If you're planning on using the macro binocular, I would recommend going with magnets. Screws, you totally can do screws. It's not a problem, but I think magnets will just be a lot easier because you can just pop the ear off and then slap the macro binocular on, and it's, you know, you're done. It's real quick. It's a quick changeover. With the screw, obviously you have to take the screw out and then, you know, try not to lose the washers and all that other fun stuff associated with screws. But hey, I love screws. Don't get me wrong. You know me, I love a good screw. So it's, you know, but magnets are awesome. So they definitely help hold things together, and they're very convenient when used properly. So yeah, there's the ears. Now the visor template is there to guide you for cutting out your own visor. This is a much more straightforward arrangement. We do have the seats for the visor, the slots for the visor. We actually added a second mandible support. And right now all we have basically is a little indentation up here at the top. There's a couple of ways that you could approach this. You could seat your visor, and then if you wanted to just hot glue it in the corners, you could do that. You could also maybe potentially put a little screw through here, just a small one, not a very big one, you know, maybe 10 millimeter long screw, 15 millimeter long screw that goes through the mandible support and then goes into the goes through the visor and into this part of the mandible. And you can see it's pretty thick right here. So you actually have a lot of material. If you wanted to put a screw in there, there's actually a lot of material right here where you could put a screw. So yeah, I mean, for me, the philosophy here was I want to just get this helmet out, you know, at a good price point, and not super elaborate, you know, not things that's, you know, you're going to be spending a week building it. It's something that you can print it out and you can put it together and be wearing it inside of 3 days with a paint job and everything. So, you know, after it's printed, of course. So if you're printing on one of the newer printers, you'll be able to knock this thing out in a day and a half, and you're going to be stoked. Now, another thing to mention about this helmet is much more form-fitting than most of my other helmets. I actually had to scale the model up 5% to make sure that it fit comfortably. I was able to get the original size on my head. and my head dimension is about 23.5 inches. So I was able to get the one that's 5% smaller on my head. So the one that is shipped is 5% larger than that, and it should fit on most people's heads. So you could scale it up and down. Just be aware that if you do that, you're going to change the dimensions of your magnet and screw sockets. At that point, I would probably opt for screws, unless you scale it precisely and you know how big of a magnet you could use. So as long as there's a magnet available for what you need to do. I mean, if you go bigger, you can still use the same size magnets. They're just not going to fit as snugly in this socket, but you could still use them. And the problem is if you go smaller, then things change a little bit, and you have to go with smaller hardware, and it just gets a little trickier. It's totally still doable, but those are some considerations that you should make. All right, let's see. Let's go ahead and talk about the macro binoculars. Let's bring those up. Where are they? Where are they? They are in here. Oh, here we go. All right. So I have them right now in the 60-degree position. And just so we can see clearly, I'm going to go ahead and hide the helmet for the moment. And we'll just look at the macro binoculars. Now you can see that the macro binoculars have this, what I call the accessory hub. This is basically the same thing that is on the ear cap, okay, minus of course the ear cap itself, but it has this ring that is designed to seat into the ear base, and this is, I'm hoping, going to become a new standard setup that I have for adapting the gunny, the pilot helmet, and even the classic Mando over to being able to utilize a macro binocular and some other things that I'm working on that will fit this hub. So basically, this is a totally straightforward assembly. This thing slides over this. Do not glue this to that. If you glue this onto that, you will not be able to actuate your macro binoculars. They will be stuck in whatever position you glued them. So don't recommend doing that. The macro binocular stem has this piece that comes off of it. It has a port for a magnet. It is a 12 by 3 millimeter magnet. It's not a 15, it's a 12. We also do have a threaded insert port. Again, the same threaded inserts that I normally use. The functionality of the macro binoculars currently have two positions. They have 0 and 60 degrees. So I am thinking about designing a new hub and stem that will allow for a setting in between these two, like, you know, to where the macro binoculars are sitting just over the eye line. And oh, my rangefinder's been down this whole time. Interesting. So yeah, that way, you know, you can have a third option for positioning. But right now they'll sit at 60 degrees, no problem. The way it works is this little springy tab here. You just put your finger underneath, push this out. That pulls this little catch pin out and flush with the stem, and allows you to rotate the macro binoculars up and down. So, and then once you get it up to the next slot, this thing will click into place, and it will hold it in place. There's nothing, no screws or springs or anything like that that are required for that functionality. However, you will want to attach your macro binoculars either by magnets or by screws to your helmet the same way that you would be attaching the ear caps. So there's that note. Okay, so how do the stems, oh, and what are these other pieces here? Okay, let's look at this one. Let's go ahead and take this, and let's go to, so these are just little cosmetic pieces that slot into this slot right here, not this. Okay, this is kind of a spring-loaded thing. When you print this stem, by the way, this section here is designed to lay flat on the bed. And you want to print it horizontally because you want the layer lines to run the length of the part. This will give you maximum strength when you're flexing this piece. This piece is actually quite flexible. Even if you printed it in PLA, it should be pretty flexible. And it should be able to come out enough to where you'll be able to clear the notches in the hub. So these guys just glue into this slot here, and you should glue them in. They are very difficult to hold on to when they first come off the printer, so be warned. They will try to slide out of your hands. The way you orient them and know left from right is we have these little knobs, these little indents here. The 3 indents go towards the back. So if you put this one over here, in order for it to fit, the nubs would be in the front, so you know that's wrong. So this is how you tell left. The bottom pieces, they are not quite as clearly delineated, but they're kind of symmetrical, so I think that they could work either way. They kind of can only really go one way, so it should be pretty simple to put those together. Your stems, okay, first of all, before we get to the stems, let's talk about this. This is a snap-in cover plate. Okay, you can see it's got these little tabs on the side. This does not need to be glued in. There is a cavity here that you can put electronics. You can even cut out the lenses if you want to be able to look through this. You could cut the lenses out. You can cut out back here. But in order to put this thing in, all you got to do is seat one side and then come over to the other side. And just snap that clip in. So you put one side in, and then the other side you just go to and push it down in there, and it will snap into place. So let's bring that back out again. Move it out of the way. The stem. Okay, so the stem is designed. I just want the stem. Why is it not letting me? Oh, probably because of how I have this parented. All right, so what I'm going to do here is see if I can move this. Yes, okay. All right, so the stem just slots right into this hole. You can tell which side is which, obviously, because, you know, it kind of really can only go one way. But you always want this little angle thing to be aligned with the bottom of the viewer, okay? And this is what the viewer body looks like when it's up. So it has this sort of trapezoidal shape here with the bender teeth and the 2 lenses. So the stem is designed to snap in. It does not need to be glued. And I wouldn't glue it because I may make some mods to the stems, maybe create some different styles, or change this spring thing so it can adapt to a different hub that has a center position. Because right now we just have a down and an up, and I'd like to have a middle position. So this snaps in, this tab goes into this socket right here, and you'll hear it click into place. If you clean your parts up and then slide them in, they're going to go click, and you'll know they're in there. And you can try pulling it out and it's not going to come out. But if you want to remove it, all you have to do is grab one end of the stem with one hand and then go and push with your thumb or your forefinger in here on this tab, and that will push these 2 prongs together and allow you to slide the stem back out. So that is basically it. Oh yeah, the other 2 things. We've got a detail here, which is just a glue-on detail, and another one down here, which is also a glue-on detail. And that's pretty much it. So that is the assembly of the Technical Specialist A helmet and the accompanying macro binoculars. I hope you guys get a lot of enjoyment out of this helmet, and I thank you very much for purchasing it. Happy building, happy printing. I'm very excited to see what you guys make with this. Please share either through the Facebook group or share with me on Instagram. I am HK7335. Au revoir.